Hello guys, welcome back. My name's Nathan, and today we're going to talk about the latest Kyle Connor trade rumors and the very real possibility of an offer sheet that could come very soon. Now, Kyle Connor, one of the most underrated and kind of overlooked RFAs in the RFA class, might have a very real possibility of getting offer sheeted and very soon. So what is the latest on the Kyle Connor situation, and which teams might actually be offer sheeting him? Watch till the end to find out. Now, Sean Reynolds of Sportsnet came out with a huge article saying that there are at least 3 NHL teams that are looking into offer sheeting Kyle Connor. Now, here is the direct quote. Starting in June, a number of teams checked in with Connor about the possibility of an offer sheet. Sportsnet has learned contact with those teams has been ongoing, and at least one new team checked in with interest after the August long weekend. Now, in the latest 3-1 thoughts by Elliotte Friedman ended up really going hard on the Kyle Connor camp, wanting a long-term contract. Sean Reynolds also wrote in the same article, with 2 30-goal seasons under his belt, the belief is Connor's consistency has warranted a long-term contract. And whether this is on an offer sheet or a contract that the Jets end up offering, Kyle Connor and his party want a long-term contract. Not a bridge deal like Patrik Laine is expecting, a 3-year deal, but for Kyle Connor, probably upwards of 6 or maybe even 7 years. And this week we ended up seeing the Jets give a long-term contract extension to Josh Morrissey, a guy who would have been an RFA, if I'm seeing this right, after next season. He ended up getting an 8-year, $6.25 million contract, very well deserved for Morrissey, but that also takes a little bit of money away from both Laine and Kyle Connor. Kyle Connor, I would assume, probably wants that same amount of money, and it was also mentioned that he probably will want around the same amount as Clayton Keller, who just signed last week for about $7 million. And I think that makes sense for both the Jets and Kyle Connor. Wanting that long-term contract, $7 million, but probably $7.5 million seems about right. Now, Kyle Connor, ever since he stepped in the NHL a couple of years back, has been a dynamic force in the NHL. Last year had 82 games played, a full healthy season, 34 goals, 32 assists for 66 points. For Winnipeg being one of their main point producers, while obviously having guys like Mark Scheifele, Blake Wheeler, and guys like Patrik Laine definitely helps him rack up those points. He's a solid player in his own right and deserves a lot of dough. And Winnipeg, I think, agrees with that, but hasn't given him the contract that he wants yet. I don't think, again, it's a problem with term. I think Winnipeg would gladly give him the term he wants, but again, it's about that money. Right now, Winnipeg has $15 million in cap space and Patrik Laine to sign, so it's not exactly an easy answer. Just like Kyle Connor's teammate Patrik Laine, or even some of the other RFAs in the class, Kyle Connor isn't an easy explanation. And I think if it was easy, Winnipeg would have gotten him signed already. But they have $15 million in cap space. Patrik Laine is still on the table, who they're still trying to negotiate with and get on good terms with. Kyle Connor's kind of gotten swept under the rug, but he's been a guy that I think a lot of people kind of said, oh, he's just going to get signed by Winnipeg. But he low-key could get offer sheeted, and it might actually work. Now, going back to what Sean Reynolds said, saying that Connor had multiple offer sheet interest with teams back in June, and that those talks for most of those teams are still ongoing, and that one new team came in August. While we don't know specifically what teams those are, that is pretty big news. Again, that's more interest in Mitch Marner, Patrik Laine probably, and there might have been an offer sheet already. But Kyle Connor, for one thing, has a ton of interest around him for an offer sheet alone. Now, right now in the NHL, there are 8 total teams that have over $7 million in cap space, that if there were to be an offer sheet, would have the money for that type of money. Starting off the Colorado Avalanche at $15 million, then you have the Winnipeg Jets at $15 million, Ottawa at $10 million, Columbus at $10 million too, then it goes to the Anaheim Ducks at 8.5, Tampa at 8.4, which is definitely surprising, Boston at 7.2, and last but not least, the Calgary Flames at $7 million straight. Not to mention, there's some teams outside of that mix that don't have that type of money that could potentially make room if needs be. Teams like the Montreal Canadiens and New York Islanders, potentially a team like the New Jersey Devils, who could always use more forwards. There's a ton of options out there for Kyle Connor specifically, as a guy that scored goals in the past. He provides a lot of value in the NHL, and obviously a lot of teams are going through the offer sheet route for that. Now again, we haven't seen any confirmed offer sheets, so it's not like we've seen one so far, but doesn't look like there's going to be a trade on Kyle Connor. If anything, it will be an offer sheet. If I had to name my main 3 candidates for Kyle Connor, especially going to an offer sheet, I would say the Montreal Canadiens, the Colorado Avalanche, and the New York Islanders. Those would be the 3 teams that I bet on to not just get an offer sheet for Kyle Connor, but potentially for Kyle Connor to accept and go to their team. It's probably unlikely at this point. I would say the most likely thing to happen is Kyle Connor signing with the Winnipeg Jets. But again, it's probably getting less and less likely as the days go by. Again, a month ago, I think everybody would have said that Kyle Connor is a slam dunk to sign in Winnipeg, as long as whatever Patrik Laine does. But things have changed just a little bit more, and for what we've seen the past week, they're getting a lot more interesting. I mean, let's be honest here. If we're getting into the preseason or even close to October and both Patrik Laine and Kyle Connor aren't signed, I could totally see a team just coming out of nowhere saying our team is not good enough, let's just offer sheet Kyle Connor. And I could totally see that working out for that team. Again, if Winnipeg hadn't signed Patrik Laine at that point, who knows what their plan might be. They might be worrying all on Patrik Laine, and a team might swoop in and get Kyle Connor, the guy who everybody expected would be a Winnipeg Jet by the start of the season. Again, it's pretty unpredictable right now. He was one of the more predictable RFAs in the class, but now it's completely done a 360. It could completely just be boring, and Winnipeg might sign him, but I have a feeling it might be a lot more than that. Now, I think it is pretty obvious, but for the most part, everything here kind of depends on what Patrik Laine ends up doing. If he ends up going to Liga or getting traded somewhere, and I think Winnipeg puts all their stock and focus on Kyle Connor and getting him signed to the deal that he wants and Winnipeg wants. But that's just a thing, because Patrik Laine could end up going into like November unsigned, and then Kyle Connor, who knows what ends up happening there. So again, I think it's kind of a domino effect when it comes to Winnipeg. Whatever ends up happening to Patrik Laine might just be the opposite for Kyle Connor, but a lot of it depends on that situation. When it comes to Kyle Connor though, if Laine is still unsigned, an offer sheet could totally happen, and Kyle Connor might just accept it. And even without Patrik Laine, this also is because of other RFA wingers not signing yet. Guys like Matthew Tkachuk, Brock Boeser, who I think are the 2 best comparables when it comes to the level of talent for Kyle Connor. Those guys not signing and right now not being too close on contracts is not the greatest news when it comes to Kyle Connor and signing with the Winnipeg Jets. Yes, Patrik Laine, if he does sign or go somewhere, I think might boost, accelerate, and maybe even strengthen the negotiations between Winnipeg. But guys like Boeser and Tkachuk not being signed is bad news. It might bleed into the season too. Boeser has been reported to not even be close to contracts. Same thing with Matthew Tkachuk. So right now it's not looking too good. But there is good news for Winnipeg Jets fans and Kyle Connor. I think Kyle Connor wants to stay in Winnipeg. I think he wants to be a Winnipeg Jet. And yes, a lot of it does depend on other RFAs and guys like Patrik Laine. I think after Winnipeg is done and out of the focus of the Laine situation, I think that focus will be put on Kyle Connor. Hopefully it won't be too late. Hopefully for Winnipeg Jets fans, Kyle Connor isn't gone or something by the time that happens. But I think for the most part, the most likely situation is Kyle Connor ends up staying in Winnipeg as he should. He's a fantastic Winnipeg Jet, and I think he will stay in Winnipeg. But of course, with this video, I need to hear your guys' thoughts down in those comments down below. So let me know what you think about this whole confusing Kyle Connor situation. What do you think about all the latest news and rumors that's come out as well? And of course, the huge question, what do you see happening with Kyle Connor? Do you see him getting traded, offer sheeted, or do you see him staying with Winnipeg? But if you guys want some more Grav videos just like this one, you should click on this card right here to watch my video on Patrik Laine and if he should leave the Winnipeg Jets. Trust me, it's a good one. But that'll be it for today, guys. If you guys did enjoy, make sure you hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that notification bell if you haven't already. Again, comment down below your thoughts on the Kyle Connor situation and what you think will actually happen with him. And of course, share this video with your friends, trying to grow Grav Gang as much as possible on the road to 10K subscribers as well. I'm Nathan, and I'll see you guys in the next video or stream. Goodbye.